Hello, I am Xarkun. This is World of Warships Legends. On the screen here you see my build for Henry J. Hyde. He is the commander I am using on the new Tier 7 Premium German battleship Odin. Also have a game where I used Celiax instead of Hyde for those of you who don't have him, so I'll put that up within the next couple of days. But for now, we're going to be on Land of Fire in the Odin. It is a domination mode game, and we are running that Hyde build. So I'm going to talk about these stats on the Odin as influenced by Hyde. So keep in mind all of these stats are influenced by Hyde in one way or another, except a couple select ones, and I'll point those out. So right off the bat, this ship with a level 16 Hyde has 66,090 hit points, which I think makes it still the battleship with the fewest amount of hit points at the tier. 22% torpedo damage reduction. You don't really want to get hit by torpedoes in this thing. The guns, it's got 9 305mm guns in 3 turrets, which makes it the smallest caliber for battleship guns at the tier. They have 18.2 kilometer range with Hyde, which is decent, although it's probably not something you want to rely on. These shells, especially the AP, works a lot better closer up, where it has an easier time penetrating the armor of other battleships. They reload in 20 seconds, which makes them the fastest reload at the tier, although the Vanguard, Tirpitz, and Bismarck can all get pretty close. If you're running Celiax, though, by far and away the fastest reload at the tier. I think I got it down to 18 seconds with him. I suppose you could also do that with Hyde if you wanted to use Brawler. The turrets traverse 180 degrees in 30 seconds, which is fine. 3,600 max HE shell damage with a 27% chance to start fire. Lowest max damage for HE shells at the tier by far. Mediocre chance for a fire even with that quick reload. In comparison, the Vanguard reloads in 22 seconds and has a 42% chance to start fire with 5,800 max HE shell damage unmodified. That's without my Azerlane Nelson build. So, in the Odin, I think I would recommend not relying on the HE. It's really not going to be that lucrative for you. AP, on the other hand, 9,400 max AP shell damage. That's also the lowest max damage for AP at the tier, but that doesn't matter so much if you can get close, and that's something you want to do. I'll talk briefly about the secondaries. It does have 12 128mm secondaries and 6 150mm ones. Not as many as either the Tirpitz or the Bismarck, and secondaries aren't that great right now in the game anyway, so they're probably not something you want to rely on or spec into. It's got 2 quad torpedo launchers on either side of the ship, just like the Tirpitz, and in fact, the stats between the Odins and the Tirpitz's torpedoes are pretty much the same. 90-second reload time on both, 13,700 max damage on both, 6 kilometer range on both, and 64 knot speed on both. The only real substantial difference is that the Tirpitz has, I think, better forward firing angles on its torpedoes than the Odin does. You can see the launchers are located at the back of the ship, so you do have to give a significant amount of broadside, probably about a 45-degree angle to get all of the torpedoes, on target. On the other hand, it does have fantastic rear firing angles for the torpedoes, which is somewhat bizarre. 30 knot max speed, tied with the Vanguard actually, and about half a knot slower than the Tirpitz and 1 knot slower than the Bismarck across the same builds. 790 meter turning circle radius, second best at the tier behind the Alabama, which has 710, so it can turn pretty tightly. 14.1 second rudder shift time on my build, which is pretty good. The Vanguard actually has a little bit better rudder shift time at just 14 seconds on my build, so pretty maneuverable for a battleship. 14.6 kilometer detectability by sea, whatever, you know, it's visible. It's a giant battleship, so what do you expect? In any case, this ship is a very effective brawler with either Hyde or Ciliax at the helm. Right now, we're kind of hiding behind this island. We don't want to expose ourselves to the HE spam from the Wichita or even fire from those battleships out there 14 kilometers away in the distance. We are kind of reversing here. We can't really get our guns on target, but zooming into the guns like this is a pretty good way to tell if your guns are on target. We're able to take a shot at the Wichita there. A lot of over-penetrations, not fantastic. The Gneisenau is coming around. We are going to turn here to get our torpedoes on target. You can see just how much broadside we have to give. Pretty dangerous. Luckily, our guns are reloaded, and we don't actually need the torpedoes to finish off the Gneisenau. There he goes for our first kill of the game. And now we're going to be able to move out here. We did abandon at first our teammates at the Charlie cap. I don't know if you were paying attention to what they were doing. We had one battleship that spawned with us. He was kind of heading in straight. And then we had a Benson, I think. Or was that the Alpha cap that we abandoned? No, it was the Charlie one. We had a Benson that decided to sail completely around that cap. I think he was going for torpedoing these 3 battleships that are right in front of me. And honestly, if you're a destroyer and you're going to purposely sail around the cap so that you can torpedo battleships with your 55-knot torpedoes in a Benson, I am not inclined to support that kind of thing. So instead, I made my way to the Bravo cap. I am now capping it. Sailing toward this island, I want to use it as cover to make sure that these guys can't shoot me and finish capping before I decide what I'm going to do as far as my attack plan goes. Right now, we are about to have the majority of capture points once I finish capping this particular circle. Unfortunately, I am still spotted, and that is allowing these guys to shoot over the island at me. I've lost spot of them. I'm going to make a turn here, get closer to the island. There must be a destroyer somewhere spotting me. I'm not sure where he is, so I am varying my course here quite a bit, and I am going to turn on the sonar once it is available, just in case. The sonar on this ship is pretty decent too, and it has a relatively long duration. It lasts for, let's see here, 1 minute and 40 seconds, which is a lot better than what you get on the Grosse Kurfürst, I'll just say that. And, you know, this ship is much more able to dodge torpedoes than the Grosse Kurfürst. I think we're going to see some torpedo dodges here pretty soon, and in the game that I played with Ciliax, there is a lot more torpedo dodging there. I'll have that up soon for those of you who want to see this ship with a commander that you can get for free. I think Ciliax is probably the best choice. Anyway, we've capped the circle here, and there's no reason to stay in it. We're going to push forward now at these 2 battleships who are kind of taking themselves out of the game, but we do have a majority of caps. We've got torpedoes coming our way. The sonar picks them up long before they become a real threat to us, so we are able to turn out of the way. Doing so does mean exposing broadside to both the Bismarck and the Alabama out there, so there is the potential that we are going to be punished. Luckily for us, the Bismarck has decided that HE is the best way to go on that ship, and he's been spamming HE this entire game. The Alabama, on the other hand, he does hit us relatively hard there with his AP. We are able to respond with an AP salvo of our own. We only get 5k there, and that's the thing with these guns. So I've noticed a lot of players playing this Odin at longer ranges shooting HE. Now, like I said, 3600 max damage on the HE shells, not good. 27% fire chance, also not really great. Not something you want to rely on. Now, the AP at range is probably not going to get big knockout hits on battleships, but we did score 7k on that Bismarck, and we score another 7k on the Alabama. It's much more like the death of 1,000 cuts than big knockout punches. There's nothing wrong with the AP at all. It's just small caliber, and I would recommend using it more often than not. The German HE really tends not to be all that effective anyway. If you're going to be in a long, protracted fight with an enemy battleship that is well angled and you're finding that the AP is not doing a lot, then maybe you could consider switching to the HE for a while just to start a fire. But if they're going to be giving you broadside like this, getting 6-7k on them or shooting into their superstructure for more damage is going to be a lot more lucrative and useful to you than spamming HE at them. Even if you get some fires, you're going to do a lot more damage even still with the AP. So we're up to 99,000 damage right now. We've got a single kill, and we are closing in on this Alabama and this Bismarck. The Bismarck is going to continue spamming HE at everybody for the majority of this game, and the Alabama is going to shoot AP. And as we get closer, you're going to see that the armor becomes more effective, and I think that's partly due to the shell trajectory. You know, if they're firing at you from long range, it's probably going to go through your deck. It's going to hit the superstructure. But as you draw closer to enemies, both the armor and the guns become a little bit more effective. You see we got 10k there on that Alabama. He's still chunking us through the superstructure for quite a bit of damage. But, you know, as we shorten the range here, his aim is going to drift toward the belt armor, where his shots are either going to shatter or ricochet if we maintain a good angle. We don't have to so much worry about angling against the Bismarck. There you see most of the Alabama's shots, I think, miss. I don't think any of them actually hit the armor. And now that he's angled in, you know, we're not getting a lot of damage with the AP. Nevertheless, we're still going to keep it loaded because this Alabama is going to want to maneuver out of the way of the torpedoes. You can see just how much angle I had to expose. I think some Alabama shells did hit me there, but they bounced off the armor. And now the Alabama is turning away, so we are turning in, just in case he decides to shoot. But it looks like he's given up on shooting at me, and those torpedoes do look like they're on target. They hit the Alabama, they finish him off. We're up to 141,000 damage, and we've got a broadside Bismarck at the map border who is still spamming HE. Now, we're still going to be on fire for another 16 seconds, but we are able to deploy the heal. We do get a nice hit on that Bismarck, and our friendly battleship is supporting us. Together, we're going to take down this Bismarck very easily. I'm going to score the killing blow here. The Bismarck is dead, and now I am able to put out the fire. As far as the points situation goes, the two enemy destroyers are still alive, and they are doing what they can to flip all three of the capture circles. But it's too little too late now. We've sunk two battleships here in pretty quick succession, which has given us a 200-point lead, and there's just not enough time for these two destroyers to win on capturing. Probably what they should have done is come out here to kill us, but they're too far away now at this point to get torpedoes on really any of us. I think one of them is going to launch torpedoes at that battleship out there to the right of the screen, 8.6 kilometers away, but he's going to miss. In any case, the Odin strikes me, from my first impressions of it, as a pretty versatile ship. It seems to work pretty well with this hide build, and it works very well with the Celiax build, too. The guns are pretty small caliber, so you do have to get in close to really, really make the most out of them. But that's okay, because this ship is a pretty dang decent brawler. And the guns, I didn't really comment on this, but the guns, for the most part, even with Celiax on the ship, seem to be fairly accurate. And of course, they get even more accurate the closer you get. In any case, it's a very fun ship. I like it quite a bit, and if you are grinding this campaign, I don't think you're going to be disappointed with your reward. That pretty much wraps it up for the battle, though. We finish with 156,000 damage done, top of the leaderboard. Hope you liked it. If so, drop a like, leave a comment, and consider subscribing if you haven't already done that. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Goodbye.